me, sir.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Stephen King Month. Say, I have a question for you. What happens when you combine the legendary author Stephen King, the director of The Fly, and an actor who has been known for his very quirky acting by the name of Christopher Walken? You get, of course, 1983's The Dead Zone. The Dead Zone follows Christopher Walken's Johnny Smith, which was originally supposed to be played by Bill Murray. And yes, that was Stephen King's first choice, as Johnny Smith one day gets into a truck accident and is sent into a coma for 5 years. Afterwards, he wakes up and begins to have psychic premonitions and a lot of things that has to do with the mind. He can essentially look through time, past, present, and future, to see what the possibilities can be and if he can change what could happen. And one day he picks up on a case about a U.S. senator played by Martin Sheen, or Greg Stilson, who is running for, office, and he learns of a terrifying secret within the arms of the political structure. This movie is kind of weird. On the one hand, I like it for its acting by Christopher Walken. He gives in a very hammy performance, but towards the end you kind of feel very sympathetic. And Martin Sheen plays a very enjoyable villain, but he's kind of generic. I mean, a lot of the times in the 80s, a lot of authority figures were placed as the villain a lot of the times, because there was a lot of distrust with American politics, and it all stems from the movement from the Vietnam War. And essentially, their distrust of the government then has led into this film being what it is. This movie, though, has problems, and I have to admit it. The Dead Zone faces a lot of pacing issues and a lot of misfires and missed opportunities for actual character growth and development. Yes, sure, Christopher Walken's character does develop his powers over time, but he doesn't really get the emotional aspect of it. He just has the power he just has the powers, and the film's like, oh, okay. He accepts them. It's like, okay. I mean, if anything, I'd be freaking the hell out if I had that kind of power in my mind, that I could read someone's mind and their past, present, and future all at the same time. It would scare the living daylights out of me, really. But, it's Christopher Walken, what else could you say? Another big problem, too, is that its pacing is off. The first act is way too quick to get to what it needs to be. If anything, there is some sort of there is a tragedy part of it in the first act where, Christopher Walken is in the hospital. He just gets to the hospital, and his girlfriend, played by Brooke Adams, is given this emotional scene, but we don't really see a lot of connection between the two. Yeah, we see him in the hall in the first scene, but that's it. You don't really get the connection between them, and even the rest of the film doesn't really have that till the end of the film, which is just kind of odd. And what also is kind of downgraded in this film is a lot of character progression and a lot of character development. The main character doesn't really learn much in the way of his own character. In fact, a lot of the time, he's just kind of scared that he's going to regress into this kind of person that always sees everything at the same time, but you don't really see it actually happening. He just kind of talks about it, and that's it, and it's just boring. But the one thing I could say, though, is that David Cronenberg can actually make a thriller. And this was, I believe, before he did The Fly. I'm not entirely sure, you can fact check me on that, but again, this can easily, if you were to remake it today, it could easily be about, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, or some made-up version of them being the person that Johnny Smith goes after in the film. It is a bit of a confusing plot, really, but it's kind of straightforward. I wasn't really lost at all, but in the end, I really wasn't too impressed with the film. Yeah, there were some standout moments, but it's not David Cronenberg's best film, and I don't even think it's Stephen King's best work. And I'm kind of glad that the movie kind of got a second life on TV, because the TV show is actually a little bit more better than the movie. And that's just kind of sad, really, because the movie has some interesting ideas. It's just they kind of have some missed opportunities there to kind of explore character-wise, the depths of this kind of thing for a normal human being to have. But in the end, I'm going to give The Dead Zone a solid C+. I'm sorry if this review is a bit short than usual, but honestly, I didn't really have too much to say. It just felt kind of generic and not too much really in the way of actual discussion. So come back next time when we review The Secret Window starring Johnny Depp. Okay. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.